casting is so fundamentally important to a movie. There was some old director, I think John Huston, said that directing is, or 90% of directing is casting, and that's totally true. If you find the right people for the right role, most of your work is done.
I was technically hired to do the casting for this as a casting director. So when I first read the script, I had on a casting director hat, and I'm reading for roles and I'm reading for types and personalities. And in fact, made it all the way through the audition process where I read against the other people as a professional reader to try to help the actors during their audition.
He kept reading the role of Tom, and Jennifer, my producer, and I kept looking at each other and saying, wow, that's the voice of Tom.
And Matt said, and Matthew, put your head on the table. And I said, what? He says, you didn't give us a headshot. We'd like you to be Tom. Matt is the sort of director who knows what he wants and is able to communicate that well to both the crew and the talent, the actors. But he's also willing to listen and incorporate stuff in.
You know, I'll kind of tell them what I have in mind and then stop and see where they go. I feel like if you're too upfront with them and you kind of lay it all out there, they're going to give you exactly what you're asking for. And you take the surprise out of it that way, you know. The script to me, is a blueprint, and it's not gospel. So the important thing as the writer-director would be to hit the emotional beats of the story as well as the plot points. You're intense, and you're taking it seriously, and you know that you guys have a kind of a disconnect. Right. So you're trying to build that bridge via the machine. Versus having a normal interface with him, like about something else, you're trying to bring him into your world. Right. So it's a nice effort, but it's still not the right thing. Sometimes an actor has a hard time, finding their performance in a scene. So you have to do some things to help them find that, and sometimes it might involve doing some things kind of outside the box. So there's one particular scene, I'll use an example, where near the end of the movie, Tom comes over to Cody's house to ask him why he turned the machine off.
The filming of that scene was the most difficult scene for me in the entire movie because I didn't feel I hit the notes right. And Matt kept giving me this direction, like, do it like you're on LSD. Do it like, and I do it crazy. He goes, more over the top. And I said, more? So then I go, okay, smart ass, I'm going to do it over the top. And I do it more over the top. He goes, even more. I said, okay, I'm going to do it so over the top that he's going to tell me to back off. And I did it. He goes, even more. I said, oh my God. And I said, this isn't working. This is crazy. This doesn't feel right.
But really what I was trying to do is get him out of his comfort zone and then bring him back again. And so by take 7 or 8,
it's working.
He nailed it.
It's just a matter of time before your parents show up again.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have messed with it in the first place.
Okay. Working with Matt is wonderful because we were able to do that sort of stuff. I was able to trust him enough to be crazy and do stuff that I didn't think was working, and he trusted me enough that when he gave me some direction and said, just go with it, that I was able to do it.
One of the big important things that I found when it comes to directing actors is making sure that they feel comfortable on set. So I did everything in my power to keep a loose, comfortable set where everybody was having fun and people were open to joking around, playing practical jokes. We had a good one on Matthew Feeney where we hid an intern underneath the sheets and didn't tell him about it.
Jeez. Probably one of the best jokes ever done to me, and for sure the best one ever documented, especially by a professional camera.
Oh my God, that really did something.
Being that this was my first feature, I had no experience in the long-form narrative stuff. I've done a ton of shorts in the past, but shorts are all based off of a gimmick or a one-off, so you don't have the complex character development that a feature would. So one of the challenges for me was to try to bring out complex characters over 90 minutes and keeping them consistent. So I think one of the big things I learned working with actors on this project was to do the work ahead of time, make sure your script is tight, and then hire the right people, and then trust the process. If you're open to discovery and you trust the process in the end, and you've done all the work ahead of time, I think you can end up with something really good, and I feel like that happened for us.